Hello, you are listening to the Mantic Universe podcast. I'm Chris, and I am in St. Augustine, and I never get the name of the club right. The Poza Junior Boys.
Almost. Let's call it the Privateer Poza Boys.
Super.
Second best name.
So I'm sitting here with my good friend Manuel and the Kings of War Germany legend Wolfgang. So we've had a sort of prior discussion in German, and we're just sort of the language is an issue. So dear listener, we're sort of piecing this together. Wolfgang speaks a very good English, but not when we're recording and there's stress. So I can completely understand sticking a microphone under somebody's nose is a strange experience. Super. So
this is Max McDougall saying, so much universe, so little time.
Fred reminding you to visit the Kings of War forum, kowforum.com. No ads, no commercials. That's kowforum.com.
So I'm visiting for the weekend. So Manuel, yesterday we played a really fantastic game of Firefight.
Yeah, indeed.
Where the Asterians and the Forge Fathers combined to be eaten by the plague.
And they were, yeah. In the end.
But it was a super fun game. It was two against one. We managed to kill loads of the plague in the first and second round, but then you pulled it back, buddy, which I was very impressed by.
I have no clue how, but dice rolls were good and
no. I think there was
lots
some
of
good
stuff
strategy.
to eat.
It was genuinely. I think it was the strength of the game. It's a bit like a game of Kings of War where you think after round 2, you think, oh, I've lost. There's no chance I can get this back. But the game is balanced enough that it swings back again.
Yeah.
So that was great. And I'm not sure what we're playing today, but as I have the two of you together in a room, I just wanted to make a quick little fun interview. So the Poca Junior Boys, as I call you, because I simply can't remember the name of it, the Privateer, yeah. Anyway, it's in the podcast already. There we go. Manuel's just moved my mug so I can see. Privateer Poza Boys. Perfect. So you guys, I think, definitely were the biggest Kings of War group in Germany by some distance. But not only the biggest, also the most organised. Wolfgang here has been organising Kings of War tournaments a really long time. He's organised the GTs. In my perception is the last maybe 2 years, you guys have been a little bit more quiet with Kings of War. So I just wanted to get you guys together and just have a little chat about the state of things, Kings of War in Germany. Also, we can talk a little bit Mantic Sci-Fi as well down the road. Super.
So maybe let's start with sci-fi, maybe.
Sure.
Because that will be a short topic. I think Mantic sci-fi systems have never really settled in Germany that much. I think there has never been a bigger community for these systems. We have a small group of players, but they are not active as well. So most of the time when I play like Firefight or Dead Zone, we do it on our weekends whenever we meet.
Yeah.
There has been a little bit of interest lately for Dead Zone, especially. I have two friends of mine which I demoed Dead Zone, and they were super hyped. They really liked the game. Florian, you met him yesterday.
This is Andy from Mantic Games, and you're listening to the Mantic Universe podcast. So much universe, so little time.
Hey everybody, this is Mike Rossi, Winged Hussar's second best dwarf author, and you're listening to the Mantic Universe podcast.
Has just started Dead Zone as well. He built terrain and everything. And I have another friend of mine living in Essen is super hyped for the game. So there's hope, but I think Wolfgang, you might know it better, but I think there's not a big community around the sci-fi systems.
Yeah, I think Dead Zone is several years behind the development of Kings of War. There's one community I know in the southeast of Bavaria. They even do some tournaments, but it's very, very far away from here where we live. Maybe that will change for Firefight. I saw there were several tournaments in England, at least, that popped up during the last year. And let's see, I didn't play it myself yet, but I think it's a proper game, very clean, with new, exciting parts like the command dice, the modern alternating activation, and such. And still, it has some nice things in common with Kings of War, like the heights of the terrain and the units, and the line of sight is very streamlined from the leader of the troop. I like it, but I cannot do any forecast for the game here in this region or in our country.
It's hard to be too optimistic. You know, it's 40Ks in the space. The games are fantastic, but it's hard to say in 12 months' time we're going to have a 40-player tournament or something like that. But we can do more than we're doing at the moment. We can play more than we are. But it's I think it is in a tough spot. That's just a reality. And I think lots of games are in a tough
That's
spot.
still traditionally in Germany, the GW systems are super strong, and 40K has had quite of a renaissance the last years over COVID here in the club as well. So we have a huge 40K community here, and most of them don't want to look at alternatives. Usually they switch whenever they get frustrated with the system. That's where they go. But then they usually for the new edition, or they switch to, like, I think the most the easiest way to switch from 40K, you don't have to change your models or anything. It's just to switch to one-page rules. So that's where they go. So we've had a one-page rules community here in the club. We still have it, but it's sleeping as well.
And you're a big fan of that system. Well, those systems, right? The family of systems.
But I think Firefight has the big problem that for some factions it may work that you use your pre-existing 40K miniatures for the game, but that's not what is meant from Mantic side. It's not a miniature agnostic game per se, as it's with Kings of War. So I think the loads of sci-fi players don't really want to just buy a new army to get into a new system just to play sci-fi. Yeah, and that's a little bit of a problem I think the system will have to face.
I think
even if a whole army for Firefight costs you less than 500 and then let's say
2 boxes of
Vanguard box or how it's called today, it's not very expensive.
No, it's not. But I think the effort to just build a new army and to just do something new is quite high. But I think the game itself is in a spot. I was super surprised yesterday. The last time I played it was before Command Protocols, and we were. I remember the game had some really rough edges still, and there was still some problems with balancing between. I remembered like. Tanks or stuff were just shut down in a single activation, things like that happening all the time. And when we played yesterday, I was super surprised how streamlined, how good, how well balanced the game now is. And I think that's one of the big advantages the game has. You can now show it to players and say, this is a really, really well designed game now. It doesn't only have good ideas, it's also streamlined, it works, it is balanced. Just try it and people will have fun with it.
They found some of the problems. And actually, funny enough, Ronnie Renton said that on the podcast, is that when the first edition of Firefight, sorry, it's not actually the first edition, because there was an old game, but I'm going to call it the first edition. Yeah. When that first came out, he didn't advertise it very much personally, because he felt it wasn't quite balanced. Whereas since Command Protocols, it seems really balanced. And you've mentioned it, Wolfgang, the game flows really nicely. It's very interactive. Both players are engaged for the whole game, which is you can't say about all games. It's just a very, very good game. It's got a nice balance of new stuff, new ideas, but also callbacks to Kings of War, which, it's a very clean game. So a lot of keywords are very, very similar.
Yeah, we will see where that goes.
Yeah.
I think... I'm not expecting it to go big in Germany, to be fair. 40K is just too strong.
But we have that, so we've kind of said, if you're playing sci-fi, if you're playing 40K, you're frustrated with 40K, the obvious place is one-page rules, because you can play your existing army that you love and you've poured love into and tons of money. So perhaps in Germany, Firefight, we shouldn't look to 40k players to come in, because it sounds like we won't get many. So perhaps we need to look to other places for new players, and maybe people that haven't played Warhammer systems. But I mean, hopefully we can just get some games in, and other people will see us having a great time with these fun games, and go from there. Fantastic, super. So to bring it back then to Kings of War. So I think for you guys, and please jump in and correct me, but it does seem from chatting and from my sort of perception that 3rd edition Kings of War came out in Germany. It was very successful, it got a lot of interest, and then basically the pandemic happened, and that was not a positive thing.
Yeah, absolutely not. It was 3rd edition had a really great start, and Ronnie Renton even promised we will get a German book soon after the release of the 3rd edition. Well, that soon stretched quite a bit until 2022, and 3 months later came the big red book.
Right, so we waited 2 years for the German edition.
A big letdown,
and it was almost immediately no longer valid.
Yes,
and I think German rules in general is still a big thing in Germany. I think most people in Germany do speak quite a good English, or they at least understand when reading things in English. So there are quite a few systems that don't have English rules. I'm looking at Conquest right now. I think they don't add German rules. I don't think Conquest has German rules.
They had in the 1st edition.
Yeah, but not now. But it still works for a lot of systems. It's fine, and sometimes there are communities that just translate the stuff. But for Kings of War, I think I know a few people who said I would really like to dive deeper into the game, but I'm lacking English skills, or I don't like reading English rules or something, or I want to experience the universe. I want to experience the world, and it's hard to do this in English.
From my perspective, going the other way, I have rule books in German, and I'll sort of understand the mechanics of the game, but it's just not the same as in your own language, or that's my experience. I don't enjoy reading the book. It feels like work reading it in a foreign language and trying to translate it. So it will definitely make a big difference. Now, something that has been discussed and is in the works, I can't promise, but I have been told, is that the companion app will be in other languages, including German. And to me, this is the key, because if everything in the companion is in the German language, then it's fantastic. We don't necessarily need the book in German. We have all the rules, etc. And I think this is a really, really smart thing to do. Hopefully it's going to bring in more subscriptions from Mantic, so it'll bring in more money if people will pay for German but not for English. And hopefully then that means ongoing they can pay to have it updated in German. When there's a change in English, they have to keep it current, otherwise it loses its value, right? It's pointless. So Mantic, not as a one-off, here's a green rule book. We've translated it into German, and now it's not valid anymore 3 months later. Mantic have to make a commitment to keeping the rules up to date in German and not just doing a one-off, there you go. And I know there were lots of issues with the deal they did for the translation service for the Green Book, and I think they had a lot of problems in French too. But honestly, Mantic is a company; it's a professional company. They have to figure these things out, quite frankly. They can obviously negotiate contracts with other companies, with other suppliers. Perhaps there were maybe some language issues, I'm not sure, ironically, I'm not sure. But come on, they can do this stuff, and they have to do it. And it will make a big difference if the rules are in German. I mean, if you've got 2 game systems that you're interested in, one of them is in your mother tongue and one isn't, there's a that is going to be a deciding factor for people.
Other point, I never had an issue with the English rule book for Kings of War, But when I want to play with my son, he's 11 years old, I cannot give him an English book.
It's a great example, yeah. Yeah.
If it was in German, he would be able to read, to understand, to learn, to capture the rules.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah.
that's an age where like boys, for example, they want to also have that fiction, you know?
Yeah.
I have an army of whatever, and this is my fantasy army, they live in this world, this is what they do in the world. And if you don't have that background in German, then it's quite hard to get into in that age.
Then you at least wait for another 5 years until you have the language level to read maybe and learn it for yourself.
My friend Daniel was talking recently about Warhammer 40k 3rd edition, because he was something like 11 when he read that, and he remembers that he was so obsessed with it and read it so many times to this day, and he's nearly 40. He remembers it like he could quote the book to me. The rules, he remembers everything as if he read it yesterday, because
to be fair,
at that age where you're so obsessed with things, you have the time as well.
And to be fair, that's one of the things GW always did quite well. The universe itself is super strong. It's super interesting. If you like that kind of sci-fi, that's always the thing you have to like, that dark, gritty thing, over the top way. But GW has always done that really well, to expand their universe, to tell stories in that universe. That's something. And I think Mantic's universe is, once you read it, you're quite surprised how well written it is and how cool of a universe that is. I was super surprised when first reading the Warpath background, but I think it's everybody knows, or most people in the hobby know what 40k is. They know about the universe. It's hard to tell them there's a new one, take a look at it. It's harder than just saying, we play in the same universe or something like that.
Yeah, so it's interesting, because to me, Mantic make better games, right? That's just how I see it. I see it very black and white. The game is better, therefore we should be playing it. But actually, it's not. For most people, it's not black and white like that, is it? It's not just the game mechanics themselves. It's everything around the hobby and the history you have with it and your memories and all the rest of it. So it's a much more complicated topic than I give it credit for, and maybe I need to think on that a little bit more as well, to be honest.
Shortly, I read somewhere in the comments, someone said about the question, what makes a game good? And he said, it's just to give good environment for your hobby experience with friends. It's not the rules, it's not the balancing, it's not even the quality of the miniatures. It's just given a positive environment. The rules can be over crunchy, the balancing may not be there. It's all okay, at least as long as you are happy with it and your friends are too. Now, how do you reach that point? That's the question.
And of course, things like 40k, it was never designed to be a tournament game.
Yes.
It was a bunch of young nerds who loved this stuff, making a game to play with their friends as we play, right? It was never about, is one side more powerful than another. I think that just that concept completely missed them, because it was never the idea.
And it was never the idea for tournaments.
Exactly.
Travis Johnson did. He wrote rules for their own GTs back in 1998, I think. But with the fact in mind that this game, Warhammer 40k, Warhammer, were never designed to be tournament games. The tournaments, therefore, cannot be meant to be super competitive events, more of hobby events, more of come together,
a celebration of
the hobby.
You bring your beautiful army you've spent a year painting, and you're really proud of it, and you want to show people that care about it.
Playing them.
Yes.
You've seen that with, or you're right now seeing it again with Old World. People are now, for the first tournaments, they are starting to adapt the game to make it playable at a tournament, to improve balance by restricting lists a little bit, tweaking things so the balance is right. It has been like that in the past for Warhammer Fantasy as well, that there's always been an own rule set for tournaments that really differ from the base game quite a lot.
But I think it might be a bit of cultural difference here between the UK and Germany. Here in Germany we have massive efforts to balance the game. Over there in UK, they don't mind. They say, let's have it. We'll see 1 year later how it went. Have minimum comp. The rules are free. Is mostly the only thing which is set even by GW in the Warhammer world. But they don't. Other than that, they don't mind. They just play, and it's okay too.
I think actually it was just changing the subject slightly, but I think actually it was in this gaming club. I think it was David. I still remember. He's a really nice guy. David organised an Age of Sigmar tournament here, a doubles tournament, and I came with my friend Dennis for the day. I think we played 3 games, and there was a game we played where I think Dennis played the Ghosts, whatever they're called, and I played my Chaos Dwarves. And we were just there to have a really good time, just have fun, doesn't matter if we win or lose. And then the 2 guys, I can't remember where they were from, but they travelled in, they weren't members of the club, and they brought the ultra competitive armies. And it was interesting because one of the guys clearly wanted to smash us into the dust, and the other guy was so embarrassed because we were here. It was so obvious when he saw our armies. He's like, okay, these guys have a 0 chance to play. So it's this really weird experience where we sat there for 2.5 hours just taking off our models, and it was like we would attack them and we'd maybe roll 3 dice and maybe get 1 wound. And they'd attack us back and roll 20 dice. I mean, it was, it was we just sat there and it was not a fun. It was just a really weird experience. And I remember driving home and going, I didn't have fun. Like all that money, all that effort and time. Like time is so precious. I didn't have a good time. And then since then, obviously, I found Kings of War and Mantic Games, where I think even if someone really wants to kick my teeth in the tournament, and they probably will because I'm rubbish. There's a level of which I can get my teeth kicked in, and I feel like at least I have a chance. It may be a small chance to win, but at least there's some chance of not just getting tabled.
Yes, I agree. With Kings, you can turn up wherever you are with your army, and the chances are you have an enjoyable and close game.
Exactly.
If it's not a super professional or as a brand new buy, the middle ground is very, very big. Yes, it's a big plus.
I think that's the big upside of the game. But I think the downside when it comes to Kings is, the one advantage, like let's stay with Age of Sigmar as an example. The thing is, even if the rules are worse, even if you like the Mantic miniatures more than GW, there will always be that advantage that and even if the prices are way higher for GW products, you will always buy yourself the ticket you will always find someone to play with.
Yeah.
You will always find a community to play with. And I think that's one of the big problems Kings of War and Mantic systems in general here in Germany. I don't know how it's in the UK, but I think that's one of the big problems the system has. You need an active community, and you need to you need to assure new players you will always find someone to play a game with. And if you can create something, create an atmosphere, create a club, create a community, whatever, where that is at least to some degree certain that you will, then it's easier for people to go all in and say, okay, I'm going to invest like my 200 euros
and all
to buy
your
an army.
time, money,
And
time, all
yeah,
the rest of it. And actually, that's a really good point, Manuel, because I've worked really, really hard the last 12 months to build a Kings of War community where I am. And I've ignored Firefight and Dead Zone because I don't want to send mixed messages with people. The key is, I'm playing Kings of War, I'm fun to play with, quite frankly, and I'm not going away. I will be playing Kings of War in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time. I'm here, I'm committed, and I'm going to be playing this. And that's really, really important. And that was one of the issues I had when I played in the game group in Wiesbaden, was I felt like every time I went to the club, they were playing a different game. So I remember my friend would say, oh, there's this game, War Machine, it's super fun. And he'd get me really excited about it. I'd spend 200 euros on an army for this game, get it, build it, paint it, come back again 2 months later, and they were already on to talking about the next thing. And it's sort of like, hang on a second. And I did that so many times with Malifaux, Guild Ball, War Machine. And I started to feel, hang on a second, guys. I don't know, maybe they're playing secretly without me, I'm not sure. But I felt like, no, I need to pick a game system I enjoy and stick with that and get value out of this. And obviously Kings of War was the first. And then later I realised Dead Zone was amazing, and now Firefight I think again is a fantastic game. But you're exactly right, that message you send to local players, that they see you playing Kings of War this week, they come back next week and you're playing Kings of War again. It sends a very, very strong message. And we've probably got, in Frankfurt now, we've probably got about 10 players, I would say. And 12 months ago we had me, right? So... And I've been super lucky in as much as, making the podcast makes a huge difference, quite frankly, because people do hear the podcast and go, oh, I'd like to come and play. But it's been really, really hard to fight for every player, because there are so many other game systems, there's so many other demands for our money and time these days. It is really, really hard to build a community.
Sounds a lot like your story, Wolfgang, actually.
Yeah, of course. We have difficulties are many. We have spoken about some. Another point is the representation of the game in the retail. It's almost non-existent. Yeah. I think the bridges are almost all burnt.
Is that something Mantic have done and given people a negative experience, retailers?
Maybe. I'm not a retailer, so I cannot speak first-hand experience. But I think the Kickstarters in the past have done a lot of damage to them. I fully understand why they did Kickstarters. Kept the company afloat over different years, but why should a retailer stock Mantic product on the shelf when almost all people already have their stuff?
Yes,
to
exactly.
Play,
yeah,
or will get it cheap printed themselves. The alternative would be stock more GW product,
which is going to sell. Because I had to look recently for Age of Sigmar 4th edition, and I had a quick little look at it, and I thought, I've got two of the old Start collecting boxes for Khorne Bloodbound, which I love those models, those like angry member skulls, and I was looking, maybe I could get some of those little doggos. They've got little dogs. So I asked my local friendly retailer, how much is that box of 4 very old dog sculpts? They're 20 years old or something. And it was something like €45 for this box of 4 little plastic dog models.
And the thing is,
to me.
I've been told that by a retailer, won't share the name, but it's been quite a few years since then, so maybe that has changed. But then I asked him, that was at the time when I joined Kings of War. I think it was around 2020, before the pandemic kicked in. That was when I joined Kings of War. And I asked him if I could order Kings of War armies and stuff over his shop because I didn't find the stuff in the shelves.
Yep.
And he told me, yeah, we can do that, but I won't earn a single euro on this. So I will just order it from Mantic and give it to you for the same price that I paid. Actually, because there was no retailer system in that regards. I don't know if that's true, but they just told me that they don't really making money on selling that stuff because they are not official retailers for Mantic. That might have changed. That hopefully has changed because we're talking a big retailer there.
I mean, this is all anecdotally, but just someone in our little Kings of War local group asked our friendly, game store owner, can you order some Mantic Direct stuff for us? And we do a bulk or a group order. And he said, yes, but basically you've got to order 300 euros of stuff. Otherwise, it literally is not worth my time doing. And he's a really nice guy, but I think it's a similar sort of situation. Without the retailers, it's hard.
And in addition, I think you have your 3, maybe 4 online shops in Germany who have Mantic stuff in stock, quite highly stocked up. Mm-hmm. You can get everything there, like Fantasy Welt, like Mini Arts.
Riedler or something, there's a new one too, I think.
Yeah, so there are quite a few online shops. Yeah. So again, why would I, in my case, drive to Cologne to collect Kings of War stuff at a local game store if I can order it online for way less money shipped to my house if I want to have the Mantic stuff. But that prevents people from building communities in local game stores, actually.
Yeah. And it doesn't help us find each other, does it? So it is a kind of I think it is a tricky situation. But
but today, we are going to revive everything.
And I mean, to be honest, one thing I'm hoping is, so we're sort of, I'm roughly an hour and a half's drive away. It's a horrible hour and a half on the A3, which is a horrible motorway, but it is only an hour and a half. So it is, I'm kind of hoping, we've got a little group, maybe together we can have a little a friendly ambush tournament. And I'm thinking, we don't even worry about who won a game, who lost a game. Let's just get together and play some games of Kings of War and hopefully build that little community. Because I think an hour and a half, it's doable to go, 3 hours of driving a day there and back. I think we could do 3 games of ambush. Plus the travel.
You might even find interested people in the club here as soon as we restart everything. It has gone to sleep, I think, a lot with Wolfgang shifting efforts a bit or doing a bit less. It has declined quite a lot. Wolfgang was always one of the pulling horses, one who really kept the flame alive.
I'd say he was the guy for years doing it in the whole of Germany. It was Wolfgang doing it. And when you stopped pulling so hard on the rope, I think we've really felt that. It has made a big difference.
But I think you will find a few guys here who are willing to say, hey, let's just drive to whatever Frankfurt as a group. It's not too far away for a day and have a good fun day there. I think we still have a few players who are just waiting for things to be revived here. We've had quite a buzz since we decided to restart it, revive it.
Yeah, gaming starts again. We have the first games are fixed. I think I will do a group meeting with on a Saturday or a Sunday in fall, so we can play together for the whole day. That's a start. I think next year there will be a tournament again.
Oh, fantastic news for Kings of War!
For Kings of War.
Oh, this is great news. I will definitely be there.
It will be we start small here in the room, so it's not that much effort, and then we see where we can go.
Fantastic.
What's if we can revive the connections to other groups again? Maybe new people will come in and
And I think there was quite a lot of players saying, okay, now Old World came to the market, I want to focus on Old World a little bit more. And I think now the realization for most is Kings of War and Old World are two super different systems. You can play both and have a really good time with both. And Kings of War is a super second system to play rank and file games. You can even use a lot of your models from Old World if you want.
Yeah.
Just put them on multi-bases at the right size and that's...
Kings of War is perfect for weekdays.
Yeah. Ambush especially.
I play a 2,000 points game in less than 2 hours with the organization around it. It's 3 hours, 3.5. That's
and you don't play Old World in that time. That's just
that's true. So I think we will get on our feet again here, and I speculate a bit for next year. We will see maybe a new edition, and I hope that this will how do they say in England? That will rise our ship again.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic. And what do we think? So you guys are sort of coming back a bit to Kings of War. What do we think is it just the fact the Old World's been out for a little while? Is there any particular reason that's caused that, or is it just it's cyclical and sometimes we all play different games and sometimes things are in the sun and sometimes they're not so much?
I would say there was a lot of buzz around, Warhammer's back. A lot of old players who switched to Kings of War just saying, I want to check this out because it's Warhammer.
It's what I played as a kid.
It's what I played as a kid. I would
think
I
would have been playing had they
and
not
now I
played
think
Old World.
a lot of that initial buzz has just it's a cool game. It's fun to play. We're having our fun, but it's not that exciting anymore right now. I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of guys, a lot of people remember, I've got that Kings of War army on the shelves over there, multi-based that I can't use for Old World, so why not use that again? Why not play again? That's at least that's what's happening to me right now.
And I really think that some players needed a pause. For personal reasons, we have several who had young kids. The other one bought a house, had to rebuild quite a lot. That took his spare time over almost a year.
And money, yeah.
Maybe money too.
So just life.
And they all were, I think, can say key players for our community. And if they all go away at almost the same time, it's hard to keep the thing fluid. Yeah. But I think they are coming back. So we are not in a bad place here. We do not start from zero. We have players who have to learn a bit the game a bit, but they all have their armies. They have a lot of gaming experience, and some of them are really motivated, I think, to do or visit tournaments again.
Fantastic! That's really exciting. Yeah, I've missed the German tournaments. I really, before COVID, really felt like you were building something. They were getting bigger and bigger, and it was really exciting. And I was getting to the point where I was looking forward to seeing people a year later. So it was fantastic. That's great. It's nice to end on an optimistic note, guys. Anything else we want to say before we finish?
Looking forward to playing a bit more Kings. And Firefight, actually. Firefight has me pretty hooked after the games yesterday.
Fantastic.
I have to admit that.
It's a great game.
Yeah,
it's an absolutely fantastic game. Yeah, fantastic. Super. Thanks so much, guys. That was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you.